Hello, Patreon folk. Hello, my very supportive barflies. How are you all tonight? So good to see so many of you. And despite me having another technical meltdown and failure, I feel that this time it was probably my fault. I think it's to do with the new interface. YouTube has pushed me into a brand new dashboard on the back end that's been available for a long time. But I've just been not in a hurry to learn a whole new dashboard at the back end. But they're starting to force it on us now. So I tried in earnest to go ahead and set up this live stream using the new dashboard. And then it started to ask me for encoder information and told me I didn't have an encoder set up. So I realized I was in the wrong section. So I cancelled out of that and just went through the normal process as best I could, checked everything. Everything looked great. And then before I set up tonight to go live, started to ask me for encoder information. Just a mess, just a really clunky mess. For those of you who know the back end of YouTube, it's not terrible, it's getting better, but it's not the most intuitive. It's kind of one of these things that's just kind of grown over time, and you need to kind of learn your way around it a little bit. And it kind of caught me out tonight, I apologize. If I look at the other stream to see if there are, according to this, there's 4 waiting in the other stream, so that's not too bad. It's probably just windows being left open. Because I've managed to pick up 33 of you in this one, so it looks like you're all here. Thanks for clicking on the new link. How are we all? I apologize for not getting an April vPub lock-in arranged for you all. I tried, but obviously April turned out, as you're well aware, to be a super busy month again. Wonderful stuff it was too. So much of it is whiskey related, which is fun. The transition of the job and things, that's happened as well. So it was all very, very busy, and that's kind of continuing to be the same. And May looks to be even crazy busier. I'm barely keeping my head above water again, and it means that I'm really delinquent on a lot of messages, and I'm a bit tardy in replying to a lot of you. And I just need to thank everyone for their patience when it gets acute like this. So tonight, I kind of want to share with you just what's happening, the changes, all the activities I've been getting up to, things that I'm looking forward to in May, June, going forward. And of course, I want to do the giveaways as well. You remember about a month ago, I noticed the chat moving quite fast, actually. That's kind of cool, 42. This is fantastic that just this support happens. I think we've got into the rhythm of a Thursday night thing. But that I have 44 of my patrons joining. It's so wonderful. Yeah, there's so much happening. So I wanted to share with you some of the things I'm getting up to, some of the things I'm excited about, some of the things I'm looking forward to. Talk to you a wee bit more in depth and behind the scenes about some of the things I've been doing recently. And draw these giveaways as well. What's really cool about the giveaways I'm drawing tonight is I don't have that nonsense about not being able to ship certain things across the Atlantic or into Canada or things. Of course, it still happens. I've got a bottle of whiskey that I'm going to give away tonight, and I'll talk about that a wee bit later. You know, I still can't ship that, but so many of the other things, the collaboration with Rob and the other bits and pieces that I have over my shoulder here. Let's just pick up the camera so I can monitor myself and what I'm looking at. So yes, there's the bottle, and that wee bottle there that you see there is quite something. That's a bottle of 33-year-old, albeit it's a small bottle, it's a sample, 33-year-old Port Ellen, Isla's fabled legendary closed distillery that was closed in 1983. But there's some Port Ellen to be given away, and I'll tell you how I managed to come into that a wee bit later as well. Let's jump in and welcome you guys. See who is here tonight. So many of you. I'm going to struggle even to mention my patrons tonight. It's really, really cool. Zach Andrews in. Good to see you, Zach. Good to welcome you. Whiskey Crusaders, that's Matthew. I hope that I'm going to be able to meet you again and shake your hand once more, Matthew, in Texas in October. Maybe get a chance to speak about that a wee bit later. Scott, Kilted Moose is in, you star. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks as well, Scott, if not before. Ebhead, Rolf, of course, you're joining us in Glasgow as well. You've turned into a bit of an anchor point for me in terms of the arrangement and things like that, and I'm really, really appreciative of it, Rob. Rolf, I'll find a way to say thank you for that. Vito is in. Good to see you, Vito. You star. Good to welcome you in here tonight. Steve A is in. Steve Anderson. Looks like I'll be able to. I think you're planning on going to Texas in October, Steve. Jens Roger Christofferson is in. Good to welcome you. I love your Patreon handle as well. Jens Roger Christofferson. Malt Review is in. Jason is in as well. You're no doubt busy. I don't know if you're referring to me being busy. I think both of us are probably busy, and you'll be planning for a very significant, life-changing event as well, Jason. You're a child on the way, arriving this month. Mikey Hay is here. Good to see you, Mikey. Dwayne is in. Fantastic, Dwayne. I'm glad you were able to join tonight. I'll mention meeting you a wee bit later as well. Christine Deems, good to see you, Christine. Jimmy Jazz, wonderful, Jimmy. Jason, the Mash and Drum, superb. Good to see you, and Jason, fantastic. The Whiskey Dram. The Whiskey Dram, we've talked, we've had conversations. You've told me your name, and I've forgotten your name, my friend. You need to remind me so that I can. I'm usually very good at that. Whiskey Wims, for example, I'm pretty sure that's Stuart, right? And I've been meaning to, because there's another patron that I have with a very similar handle to the Whiskey Dram Session, and I get the two of you confused. Marcus Kreitner is in. I hope that Christina's sat next to you again tonight. Marcus, good to welcome you in. Alec Lewis, good to see you in. This is the first Patron Only Lock-in, Alec, for you, I think. Wonderful to welcome you. Brandon Lee, good to see you, Brandon. Adam Brudner, superb, Adam. Great to see you in. So we're getting a few of the Cast Strength team in, and their peers and colleagues in as well. That's fantastic. Mose is in. Superb, Mose. Good to welcome you. Razvan, Thomas McCrory, just across the road from me, Thomas. Hopefully you're looking forward to the events that's coming later in the month as well. Who else do we have? Donald Rance, I was speaking to you earlier, Donald, over there in Canada, not able to enter the booze giveaway, but you'll be able to hopefully have a chance at some of the other stuff. Love Street is in, saying evening all, and of course that's Neil from the Glasgow Whisky Club, and I've only just recently reminded myself who Love Street actually is. Good to have you in, Neil. Fantastic. So many of you in. So 57 patrons in tonight. I love these vPubs. I really love the support. I love the hangout. But I have a kind of wee special place for these patron-only ones because I just feel a wee bit more laid back and comfortable. And it's wonderful to kind of go through this list. Almost overwhelming, actually, to go through this list and just know how many of you have actually met in the flesh, whether it's been in the States or whether it's been here in Scotland. Fantastic. What are we sipping? I have my glass of water on hand. It's quite thirsty tonight. And I also have a wee glass of Highland Park 18. I wasn't really inspired tonight. I didn't know what I was in the mood to have. I just wanted something kind of somewhere in the middle of the road because I'm going to uncork a bottle that I bought at Deanston this week with you. It's not a special bottle. It's a standard core expression. First time I've owned it. And I bought it this week and I'm keen to open it. Bill Dull is in. Bill, you star, good to see you. Saying, hey Roy, I bet you're at work. You're in California, Bill. Bill's coming over here to join us in May as well. He's coming over from California. But he's even travelling that distance, he's not going to be the furthest travelled. We've actually got Nick and Penny coming in from New Zealand. Now, I have to hope that they were planning on coming here anyway, because there's a lot of pressure for it to be quite an event. So let's see what you're saying to me. Gregor is saying, Aqua without the vitae. Ah, yeah. At work. Thanks for your West Coast as well, of course, Gregor. Thanks. It's good for you to be able to tune in on the fly, on the sneak. I've got to keep an eye on my phone tonight as well because I'm hoping to have somebody drop in and give us a bit of a cameo later on in the show. Jimmy Jazz is saying that electric from G&M, Aquavita. Are you enjoying it? I know. Did you open it, Jimmy? Did you actually open that bottle? Sounds like you did. I hope that it is good. Alistair Gray is in. Good to see Alistair. Kilkerran heavily peated. Fantastic. So obviously this is you all replying to my question about what you're sipping. The Kilkerran heavily peated. I had it at a show. I think I've recalled the story. Thought it was a bit young. Thought it was a wee bit rough about the edges. It's kind of very sweet peat. But obviously I had it again on the Ralphie stream, and I've had it again since, and I've kind of come round to it. And I kind of wish I'd picked up a bottle. Hopefully there's going to be enough of it around for me to still get one. Scotch for Dummies is here. They're here. I don't know if that's Drew or Mark or let's guess it's Mark tonight. He's going to be drinking samples. Great idea, fantastic idea. Kieran Mason, good to see you. Hi mate, flights, hotels, and of course tasting with your good self, all booked, only a fortnight away, more or less. Fantastic. I think I shut down the document. Yeah, then I'll open it up again. Just have a because as you know that the tasting in the afternoon was sold out. And what happened is just through a couple of shuffles and rearrangements and things, 1 or 2 spaces opened up. So it meant that I was able to make a space or 2 for some people to join. So I'm excited about that, and I want to talk about that a wee bit later. I want to just kind of give people. I know that it's difficult to talk about when there's so many of you not able to get here, so I won't spend too much time on it. But it's an opportunity for me just to give everybody a shape of the day, to talk about the Facebook group that sprung up around it as well, and also to give you an idea what to expect and work out what kind of hotels that you're all in, and are you all in city centre hotels? Hopefully you are. Hopefully you're all quite local. I'll just release. Jez had a link he wanted to share. Simon Ray saying, Dram Club, Loch Lomond 12-year-old. Loch Lomond is one of the things I'm getting up to in the future. I'll talk about that a wee bit later, Simon. I'm excited to do that. I've been speaking to Loch Lomond recently. Whiskey Wim Stewart is saying, I know somewhere that may still have heavily peated batch 1. I'm hoping there's enough of it out there. I recently acquired one for someone in the Highlands who hadn't had any access to it. I could see if they still have one. Where are you, Stuart? I think you're on the east coast of Scotland, aren't you? Adam is having a North Star Campbellton 4-year-old. Fantastic, Adam. That's quite an eclectic one, quite a strange one to have. Per Christensen is in. Good to have you, Per. He's saying, having a Ben Nevis 20-year-old. Nice. I almost grabbed my Ben Nevis 10 when I picked up this Highland Park to sip tonight, but I know I've had it on the stream quite recently. Kilted Moose is saying a Glenallachie 12 and have a few others lined up. Fantastic. Still find the Glenallachie 12 just a wee bit honey sweet for me. I like it. I do think it's a very good dram. But it's probably just a degree or 2 towards sweet. So let me tell you some of the things I got up to recently. Like I say, so many of you, the faces I know, you're familiar to me now. And it's not just because you're patrons and things and I connect with you in there. It's because I've actually been able to meet with you, some of you quite a few times, and it's really cool. Ross Mashburn and Jill they were over for another holiday, and I was able to go and meet them and have something to eat with them and a quick dram in the West End of Glasgow a couple of weeks back. It was really cool. Whiskey Wim Stewart is saying Falkirk. You're in Falkirk, so right slap bang in the middle of the country. I went to school in Falkirk, Stuart, for a little while. I went to St Mungo's High in Falkirk. Anyway, I got to meet Ross and Jill, and that was wonderful just to spend a bit of time with them as well, and their friend John. They were introducing John to Scotland for the first time. It was really cool just to hang out with Ross and Jill. I met them last year when they were over for the Glasgow Festival. They're from South Carolina, I think. South Carolina, yeah. And then a week or so after that, Dwayne was back in town after another epic pilgrimage to multiple visits, covering all the tours he possibly could over the 9 distilleries on Islay. And he came back over to Glasgow and did a couple of things in Glasgow, and I got to spend some time with Dwayne. And what I did is I took Dwayne up to Deanston. I had kind of plans of doing something like that, and I know that Dwayne hadn't seen Deanston before. So we went up there and we got to have a kind of look around. We couldn't do everything that we wanted to do, but we got to have a nice little look around Deanston and sip a few drams together. But when I went up to Deanston with Dwayne, I took up a couple of small samples of a Deanston 8-year-old that my cousin had gifted me. My cousin Kevin had bought it at auction, and we'd opened it together and enjoyed it, and he left the bottle with me, and I'd had it for a wee while now, shared it with a few people, and I took a couple of samples up to Deanston The reason I did that is because I know a couple of the guys there that they're passionate whiskey folk as well as working there. And this Deanston 8-year-old sits up there in a cabinet behind glass, locked glass, as part of the history of Deanston type display. And we had this bottle here, I had this bottle here that was open and getting shared. So I took him a couple of samples. And it caused a wee bit of a stir. There were people that were like, oh, I would have liked to have tried that. That would be nice. Wow, that's amazing. And so the next time I went up was just yesterday. I met somebody in town in Glasgow, Tashi, one of my supporters, over from Washington, D.C. He's a guy who was born in Tibet, really cool, brought up in India, educated in Sussex, living in the States, really interesting guy, bit of an entrepreneur as well. I took him to Deanston, and this time I went up with the Deanston 8-year-old, but I took what was left of the bottle, and there was somewhere between about a quarter and a third of that 8-year-old Deanston left, and I just took it up and I left it with the guys there, and everybody in the visitor centre or in the admin team, whoever's there, could just taste it, pour it, share it out, do whatever. And I don't think, it was something that Ralphie put into my head a couple of years ago when we were talking. He said, look, when you want to get it across to people and whiskey producers and in distilleries and things like that, that you're not on the take, when you want it to be obvious that you just want to have an exchange with them and understand and learn and get information, flip it around and take samples to them. And that's what Ralphie has been doing. And that's kind of what I like to do as well. If I have something that I think is going to be of interest, right, I don't just take samples for the sake of it. I don't just take some Highland Park 18 or whatever. Something that they might connect with or might be curious to them. It might be difficult for them to get hold of or something with a value, right? And they were really blown away by that. So I bought my Deanston Organic. You pay a wee bit extra at the distillery, but honestly, I don't mind. There's a nice cafe and things there, and I decided just to buy it and bring it home. But they gifted me a bottle of Deanston 12, and they didn't charge me for the tour that Tashi and I had. And I kind of feel, I was just looking for your feedback on this, I kind of feel like that's okay. I think you can get to a point of being obtuse about being, holding on to your integrity and things like that. I mean, that's just an exchanged gesture. And I think that that's fine. Simon Ray's saying that the Deanston experience sounds really cool. Well, we got to draw from the cask. I didn't, I was driving. But Tashi, the guy that was with me, the tour guide, was really cool. He took us in and let us draw from 3 casks, from a bourbon barrel, a standard American bourbon barrel, 200 litre, from a refill, what was it? I need to remember now. I think it was a Fino hogshead. And then it was a proper European oak. No, it would have been American oak, actually, because it was a sherry Solera butt, huge big butt. And we got to draw from each of those, or Tashi got to draw from each of those. I could only really have a little nose of it. It was wonderful. Zach is saying Deanston is such a great distillery. Do you know, it's kind of getting better all the time. And they're a bit out there and off the wall. They've got about 4 or 5 more maybe distillery-only expressions right now that shows that they're really exploring these casks and how their whiskey behaves in these different casks and things. And I have to be honest, everyone that we've been trying, there's some I prefer more than others, but they're all fantastic. Objectively, they're very good, high-quality whiskies. And the only reason that I prefer some more than others is a purely subjective thing, my own personal preference. It's really doing wonderful stuff. And I don't think I'll ever tire of evangelizing about distilleries that are doing that kind of work, as long as they keep doing it, and especially as long as the value stays intact. Aquavite, Gregor is saying, that's simply the sharing of the love. No guilt should be felt. We can all do our part putting positive karma out there into the world. Yeah, I think that's true. And I think it's, you pick there are other distilleries that are close to me, and I'm not turning up and doing that. I'm not evangelizing about them. They're not maybe my first choice of places to go, even although they're kind of within an hour and a half, 2 hours drive radius of me. They're not the distilleries I'm kind of taking people to. And I'm very fortunate to have in Glengoyne, the Clydeside Distillery down in Glasgow, and Deanston up in Stirlingshire. I'm very close to have these distilleries that I feel really like if I take visitors to them, there's a good chance they're going to have quite a positive experience. Whiskey Crusaders, Matt is saying, Deanston 12 is glorious. Thanks for explaining the changes in it to me from the old to the new 12 year. It's interesting. Every time I go up, Matt, I try and kind of have that discussion to see if I can get people from Deanston kind of admitting that the changes that's been in place during kind of the turn of the century, since the turn of the century, whether they would agree with that, whether they would back it up. Because I think it's difficult for them, because there's probably lots of stock and out there in the supply chain still in the world that is not that newer stock. They've done very, very good things with the older stock before the changes and things at Deanston. But yeah, Dwayne is saying, Roy, that was generous of you to take up the Deanston 8 for them. Yeah, I mean, I don't think my cousin Kevin, who bought it and gifted it to me, I don't think he'll mind that at all either. It's just another kind of sharing thing, and they've got a bottle there that they do their tour every day, and they've got a selection of these Deanstons through the ages, and there aren't many Deanstons. There are really not many. But one of them, this late 70s, early 80s bottle of their 8-year-old expression, they're never going to be able to try that very easily, right? And we just happen to come across a fairly inexpensive bottle. And it's nice just for them to get a bit of a sip of history. Zach is saying that 15-year-old organic is a wonderful bottle. Well, I think so, and I'm going to explain why I think the organic is wonderful a wee bit later, and just see how I react to it tonight as well. Obviously, I'm going to start doing these giveaways, and I think we should get it out of the way, and then we can chat for a little bit about what's coming up in the next few weeks, in the next few months. Some of the things I'm excited about. Still struggling to find time for everything, which is just going to be the way of it. Captain 3D is in fantastic, and I want to talk about Phil and Deepa and what they're doing on their channel, because it's really exciting, but I don't want to talk about it here. We've got a busy stream. We've got 59 of you in tonight, but I think Phil and Deepa they've just been smitten by the bug. They're just enjoying whiskey so much, and it's very valuable what we have there in Phil and Deepa, because they're applying a lot of kind of analytical intelligence to the whiskey buying thing, and they're trying their absolute best to be as unbiased and objective as possible, and sipping from a beginner's perspective, blind everything that they're touching and buying, regardless of how much it cost them and things. So they're kind of stripping away that ceremony of buying that really special bottle that you've saved up for, or has cost you a lot. It's rarer, it's more difficult to get a hold of, and you pour that first dram and share it with somebody and say, oh, thank goodness, it's wonderful, and you have those moments with it. They're doing it from a very, very interrogative perspective, and I think it's quite cool, and they're doing a kind of week-by-week knockout thing. I've started to talk about it, and I said I wouldn't. But they're doing great things, and that's Captain 3D's channel. It's Phil and Deepa over there in San Francisco. I think they're doing great things. Whiskey in a Six, Rob is in. Fantastic to see you. Going to eat quick and jump in. So there we go. My cameo that I was hinting at a wee bit later is Rob. He's going to come in and help me with the collaborative giveaway that we arranged about a month or so ago. So I'll look forward to welcoming you in, Rob. Relax, take your time, go and have something nice to eat. And I will try my best to keep my eye out for you joining, my friend. Be good to see you a wee bit later. Okay, so let's see if we could give some stuff away, because I've got quite a few things to give away. Rather than kind of bundle it all up in a bag and just ship it as a kind of care package, you know, it costs a wee bit more in postage-wise, but just kind of break this thing up and just try and spread it out a wee bit, especially since quite a few items here are not whiskey. It's going to be easy for me to ship it wherever. So I'll explain to you what this is first. This was when I went over to Isla, and this is kind of a press pack. This is a new thing to me. I've never been given one of these before, but they give you this little Hessian bag. I'm not going to give this away. It's not really worth anything to anybody, but they give you this nice little Hessian bag, and then it was a bottle for you to do a hand fill. And they don't have any mature whiskey, obviously, at Ardnahoe yet. They've only just started making whiskey, right? But they've got quite deep stocks. Hunter Lang have deep stocks available. So this is a kind of a whiskey that they're promoting at the distillery right now. It's a blended malt by them called Isla Journey. And you can see, you'll probably see, pull up the camera. Just if hopefully you can focus in, that'll focus on that. You can see that I've kind of written the date and my name on it and things. This was a hand fill by me at the distillery. And I got to take that home. This was free. So rather than me keep this, it was delicious. I'm quite happy to keep it. But, you know, I'm able to do these things because of the Patreon support. And if I'm able to share these gifts out with you guys, if at all possible, I think I'd like to do that, take the opportunity to do that. So I'm going to give this away, the bottle of whiskey. I mentioned already the bottle of Port Ellen. We had a dinner in the kinship room there at Ardnahoe. They laid on some food for us. It was really delicious food. And they were pairing some drams from the Hunter Lane collections to go with the food. And the one that they brought out, the final one that they brought out, they opened a bottle of Port Ellen 33-year-old and shared it with us. And as a wee going away gift, they poured wee samples out. I think most of us got a sample. Now I would love to keep this. But Port Ellen, I remember a time when I was getting into whiskey and I was starting to become really passionate and tracking down different whiskies a few years back, the Whiskey Rev and I. And I remember being in a bar when we found a Brora behind the bar for £55 per dram. And I almost bought that dram of Brora. It was a Chieftain's Brora, probably not even a great Brora, but nevertheless, I would have been able to say that I sipped a Brora, because at that time I wasn't even sure that a Brora would come my way. And for so many of you, it might be the case that it's going to be very difficult for you to ever try a Brora and for you to ever try a 33-year-old Port Ellen. So there's an opportunity for me to just kind of share this out. It's a very, very special whiskey. It is an opportunity for you to sip a wee bit of history from a distillery that's since become a bit of a legend. So I'm going to give this away, and this can go anywhere. I don't care where you live. I'll ship this to you. It's just a small bottle of beard oil, right? So we can draw that. We also have, this isn't a giveaway, but this I wanted to show off because this was gifted to me at the Whiskey Club from Neil from Love Street, who's in tonight. And this is one of his very posh sipping glasses. Neil that actually sells these, this is his job. I haven't spoke to him in depth about it. I'll show this off because it's quite a posh copita, quite a tall copita, right? And he gave me a wee gift of that. Thank you, Neil. Might even try the Deanston Organic in that tonight. Well, I can't actually because I've not really rinsed it out. I think I should be at least rinsing it out first, right? So thank you, Neil, for the very kind gift, my friend. But I'm not giving that glass away. I will give away this Ardnahoe glass. Now, I'm a collector of Glencairns from when I visit distilleries, but I'm fortunate to be going back to Isla in a couple of weeks' time. So hopefully when I'm back there, I can pick up and buy myself one of these in order to give away this Ardnahoe one in its little gift box. And finally, Ardnahoe baseball cap embroidered. A nice little gold Ardnahoe pen. It's got one of those kind of tablet phone rubber things on the end. And this is a lanyard. You put it around you and you can carry your Glencairn in this, or your whiskey glass around, and it just sits around your neck and keeps your hands free when you're at festivals, campsites, wherever you might be that you need two hands, but you still want to have your dram handy, right? And these are very, very handy things. I've got through a couple of these because I do lose them. I now hang them behind the door, but the Ardnahoe one I'll give away to you guys. And finally, as a wee bonus giveaway, I was at Glencairn recently to interview Raymond Davison for a video that I'm working on, given the story of the Glencairn glass, and not just the history and the story, not just all about the glass, but my interaction with the glass, how the glass has become like an extension of me and my whiskey consumption experience, and I'm going to share lots of little habits and rituals that I've built up in terms of a relationship with that glass. I'll not give too much away here, but I'm going to try and make some fun out of it. But they gifted me this little Glencairn pin, which is really quite cool. So I'll give that away as well. So let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ardnahoe / Glencairn things to give away. Let's pull up the chat again and see what I've been missing. Vicky Thompson, a mooch necklace. Yeah, exactly, Vicky. Good to have you in. Good to see you here. Malt Chronicles is saying, amazing gift. Very, very cool. Great to see you in, Bart. Wonderful to have you. And I'm glad you think it's worth it. Graham Young is in as well, saying that's a dandy sample, Roy. Absolutely. I think it's a special one, quite a nice one to give away. But the first thing I'll give away, I think, because yeah, what I'll do is I'll put this in order. That's what I'll do. I'll draw the whiskey first. And if it happens to be won by somebody who's clearly said no whiskey, then they'll get the Port Ellen. So the next thing I'll draw will be the Port Ellen. And then I'll just randomly pick up after that. That way, because some of you have obviously said no whiskey, please, when you entered. And that meant that I know that you weren't going to be able to receive the big bottle. I'll just draw it the same way that I always do. Let's check to see that Robert, no one is trying to get me, and check to see that nobody has. I think I've got everybody's names that have entered. I was trying to catch everybody right up to the last minute that entered. Okay, Lee Younger is in. Good to see you in as well, Lee. Fantastic to welcome you here. Whiskey Jason from Germany. Good to have you in, Jason. What a fantastic turnout from you guys. I mean, it's just wonderful support. Let me have a wee sip of my Helen Park and we'll go on with this. So it's the same as usual. What I'm going to try to do is fix all my windows so I can keep an eye on the chat and keep an eye on the screen share, and I'll do a screen share with you. And I'll just keep shuffling each time to keep it as random as possible. When you do public giveaways with me, because you're patrons, obviously you get extra bonus entries, but that's not the case with exclusive patron ones. Everybody's in a level playing field. It's just a single entry from everyone. I hope you think that that's fair enough. It's also a lot easier for me to administer. But on this Ardnahoe giveaway, I'll do a quick screen share here to let you see the spreadsheet. Hope this works. Here we have it. So we've got 53 of you entering. So I'm going to draw the Isla Journey bottle of whiskey first. So I'm going to highlight, actually no, I just need to highlight a single row, don't I? And then I can randomize, but I'll randomize this one first. There you go. You now have your numbers. Oh, I need to undo that because I noticed that no whiskey is written in this column here. That was a bit of a blunder. You should always practice this first, right? Has that worked? No, that has not worked. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm just going to have to, that's your numbers for the whiskey, because after this first draw, it doesn't matter anyway. Apologies for the lack of a slick operation tonight. So we have 53 of you. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54.
A random number between 0 and 54 is 47.
47. So the whiskey is going to, oh, Christine Deems. Now, Christine, you're in the States, but fortunately you are in here tonight. So Christine, it's just a question of If you think I can get I cannot ship to you in the States, Christine. Let me get this screen share off. Okay, I can't ship to you if you're in the States, but if you are planning a visit here, if you're coming across here, or somebody that's willing to mule this back home for you, or you want to collect it yourself, or we can make an arrangement, the bottle is yours. Christine Dames she's saying, OMG, tell me, can you accept a full bottle of whiskey? And if it's yes, we can move on. You did enter whiskey, please. Gregor is saying I can collect for her. I just love this community. Especially love you, Gregor. You're a very generous man. A wonderful guy. It's good to know you, Gregor. Let's see, Christine, what are you saying? I get to say congratulations. Okay. I think she's disappeared. I think we can safely say that we're going to... Oh, Christine Deems, I'm going to home to the UK, can bring it back for you. Okay, so at the very least, thank you, Gregor, she's saying. Congratulations, Christine. You've won yourself a bottle of hand-filled Isla Journey with my name on it. If you want anything else written on it or anything, you can let me know and I'll write something else on it, but I think that'll be good to go. I'll pack it up in a nice air sac so that it's completely safe to ship, whether it's in Gregor's suitcase or some other means. Congratulations, Christine, this is your bottle. Well done. Okay, let's do another screen share, because now I can ditch that second column that says no whiskey. And that means I can start to randomize it each time. Go back and show you what's happening here. Okay, so let's randomize it and draw again. And this is for the Port Ellen. So this is for the Port Ellen sample. Still very cool. Very, very cool. Turn the volume up a wee bit this time. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54.
A random number between 0 and 54 is 42.
So we've got Tony Nelson. Tony Nelson. I don't think Tony's in tonight. I don't think I've seen him comment. He may be in, maybe lurking in the background. But Tony Nelson has won himself a sample of, and there's a lot of people out there that's going to be, that would want the Port Ellen over the bottle of Isla Journey. I have absolutely no doubt that that's the case. It's arguable that this is the better prize. Congratulations, Tony. Now, you've been a supporter of mine for a long, long time. I know that you're a quieter supporter, but if you're in here tonight, shout, please. But Tony, the Port Ellen is for you. I'll just make a note of that. Tony Nelson, Port Ellen 33. Congratulations, well done. Okay, the next thing up, I'm going to give away my kind of cool lanyard. Now, what I will try to do is I'll try to find, for these kind of things, I'll try to find little other things. Like I've got a couple of pins and things that Vin has sent me to share out, for example, these little kind of no-nonsense whiskey pins and things like that. I've got one or two wee trinkets and things that I can slip into the package as well. So, but this is this cool Arnaho launch lanyard for carrying your Glencairn. So imagine you're out the back barbecuing in the summertime and you need free hands to barbecue. You can have your Glencairn sat around your neck. Christine and Gregor, it looks like, are planning their muling collaboration, which is great. So let's go and draw the lanyard quickly. Randomize it one more time. Good. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54.
A random number between 0 and 54 is 20.
20. Let's see who this is. Chris Moore. You lucky bugger. The reason I'm laughing is that Chris Moore has already won a bottle of whiskey from me in a random draw, a much bigger draw than this. It was like 400 or 500 people that had entered, and Chris Moore won the Glenallachie 12-year-old that Ralphie signed, and we gave away in the Ralphie stream. But that doesn't exclude you from entering this, Chris. You've won yourself the lanyard. Do you have one of these already? They're very useful. Well done, Chris. Congratulations. I'll draw now, quickly, this cool Ardnahoe Glencairn glass. Randomize it once more. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54.
A random number between 0 and 54 is 6.
6. I'm half expecting Siri to say what again? Vicky Thompson. Vicky Thompson has won the Ardnahoe Glencairn. Well done, Vicky. You're a local girl, right? I think you're Edinburgh, East Coast. So Vicky is saving me a little bit of postage on the Glencairn. Congratulations, Vicky. Well done. And it should be easy enough for me to ship out to you. So I think we've only got 2 things left. The Glencairn pin, I suppose, is 3. Let's do this Ardnahoe hat. I should check the chat, actually. Make sure everything's okay. Vicky's in. She's saying, yeah. Good for you, Vicky. You win a Glencairn glass. It's a nice glass. See who's going to get the hat. I'll stop sharing my chat window. If you saw how many windows I had open, you would see how easy it is to make a mistake. Here we go. I wonder if I did that wrong last time. Okay, let's randomize this one more time. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54.
A random number between 0 and 54 is 20.
20 again, but obviously it's a different person this time, and it's Ardbaggy, Andy Purslow. Andy, you star. So Andy, I haven't seen Andy's name in tonight. I wonder if he's in. Is Ardbaggy in tonight? No, I don't think he will be, because Andy's up at the Speyside Festival. He's up in Scotland, actually. But Andy, you've just won yourself an Ardnahoe baseball cap. Compliments of Aquavitae. Hope you love it, big guy. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Glasgow in a couple of weeks too. Okay, a couple more to do. Randomize again. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54. Now this is for the pen. The pen.
37.
37 for the pen. Top Whiskies. Top Whiskies now. I've not seen Ed or anyone in tonight. They've got their own YouTube channel, Ed and Evan from Top Whiskies. I'm shipping you guys down this cool Ardnahoe pen. Fantastic. So that only leaves one thing left to give away. I got given 2 of these, and I've kept one because I really like it, and I've put it on my camera bag, and it looks really smart. I don't know, some people really like these pins, other people not so much. But I think that this is a very cool one. And one of the points I want to make about the Glencairn glass is that, yes, it's made by one company, it's owned by a single company. But that little symbol, that silhouette, that shape, has come to represent so much more than the Glencairn Crystal Company. It's come to represent whiskey appreciation. And more than whiskey, rum and bourbon, world whiskies, everybody's adopted this little glass. I think it's a very, very cool story. So yeah, and I think this is a cool little pin as well. So let's draw that as the last one. Until Rob's on a wee bit later. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 54.
A random number between 0 and 54 is 54.
Right, we don't have a 54. That's me, that's my fault. But that answers a question. At least I know that she's going to... Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 53.
A random number between 0 and 53 is 49.
Tim Medley. Tim, fantastic. Tim, through a conversation that you and I had recently, you know that I think it's quite cool that you've ended up with this. I think you deserve it, my friend. So I'm very, very glad that you've won this, and congratulations, and I'll get this sent across to you in a wee padded envelope soon. Tim Medley. Good. Hin. Andy got the cap, and Top Whiskies got pen. There we go. So I've given away my entire press pack from Ardnahole. Steve A between 1 and 53, lol. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that, folks. Jeremy Sims is in. Jeremy saying, must be something else. Good to welcome you in, Jeremy. Good to have you in here. So what do you think of that? Marcus Kreitner says, Aquavita, you need more screens to spread out your different windows. I've only got 3 screens tonight. Sometimes I have 4, just to monitor the different things. I was hoping that I could do this a wee bit calmer tonight. Ebhead is saying he's at Tormore. You're obviously talking about Ardbaggy. Andy, yeah, will be up there as part of the Tormore 4 tour. Christine Deems is saying, thank you very much. Ebhead is saying, awesome, Roy, exciting and fun. Well, I have to say, I don't know if it was exciting for you. It depends on how much value you see in these gifts. But I just think it's cool to kind of share these things out. You can collect a lot of this stuff and end up having more than you would potentially use or have value in. And it's kind of nice if I'm able to give some of this back, especially if it's a distillery like Ardnahole that nobody's going to really have a chance to get anything from yet. I guess you would have to travel to Islay to do it. Sid Martin, good to see you in, Sid. Sid is saying, well done, everyone that won. Absolutely. Congratulations to everybody. Congratulations to Christine, to who won the Port Ellen? It was... yeah, Tony Nelson won the Port Ellen, Chris Moore won the lanyard, Vicky Thompson won the Glencairn, Ardbaggy the cap, Tim Medley the pin, and Top Whiskies won the pen. There we go. Superb. I want to tell you some of the things that I'm doing in the future. I talked to you there about, I managed to get an interview with Raymond Davidson from Glencairn, and I'd reached out to Glencairn to tell him that I was going to make a video anyway. I'm going to make a video about whiskey glassware, and specifically it's going to focus on the Glencairn because of how that has become how it's come to symbolise whiskey appreciation, fine spirits appreciation. You just look at the amount of logos that are out there, nothing to do with glassware or anything, that just whiskey logos that are firmly rooted in the silhouette or the shape or the style of the Glencairn glass. And also the concept of, it's a very, very young glass. People think it's a traditional glass, but it's not. It's very modern and it almost didn't exist. And there's kind of a cool story to tell there. But I want to make it much more personal to me, the way that I use the glass, some of the weird and wonderful kind of quirks and things that I've developed through me using the glass. And I reached out to the guys at Glencairn to tell them about these things. And I got the opportunity then to have an interview. And there are 4 sons involved, but the father is the guy who came up with this concept. The father is the guy who designed this chunky, robust base, fixed to a tulip copita style shape, but flared out a little bit. And they kind of call this a thistle shape in-house, which is quite a nice way to refer to it. And it was Raymond who ended up agreeing to let me interview him. And that was great, just to hang out with somebody that's been working in whiskey with all the who's who of whiskey for the last 30 more years. Because Glencairn's business was built on making crystal prestige products, decanters and things. and the anecdotes and the stories that he had to share were wonderful. And I ended up recording an almost hour-long interview with Raymond, which was really cool, but I've edited it down to just the salient points that's relevant to that video. So that's a video I'm working on. I'm going to try and make it as much fun as I can. A bit of a fan letter style video, much in the same way as Flora and Fauna or the Arnahole video, those kind of things, the Whiskey Tribe event, those kind of things. And I'm also doing another one. I want to talk about if I was to walk out of my front door and walk left and walk right, and I've mentioned this before, and ask every one of my neighbours, just the people that live in my neighbourhood in Glasgow, to tell me the difference between a blend and a single malt, I think everybody would be surprised how few people could actually tell you the difference between the two things. And that's not a problem. It's not that big a deal until you consider how huge whiskey is for our country. But for so long, whiskey has just been a drink for us. It's the same as the rest of the world. It's not been something that you savour in tiny little quantities at higher ABV with a backstory and understanding how it's made and the maturation and the ingredients. That's not been how we've been drinking whiskey traditionally, for the most part. Some people did. Some people have always sipped in that way, but not many. But it's changing fast. And I think when it is changing fast, I think people need to kind of understand even just the basics. So I want to make this video about how many different styles of Scotch whisky actually exists, what the categories are, but then throw it into a context where I can illustrate that and talk about how we end up at this granular stage where there's just a dizzying amount of variation in Scotch whisky that nobody, even passionate whisky enthusiasts like us, can actually even keep up. And a fantastic place for that would be Loch Lomond, because in one distillery in Scotland, Loch Lomond have the ability to make anything. And I was speaking to the master blender at Loch Lomond, Michael Henry, and over a few conversations, he just opened up and he said, "What would you like to do?" And I just pitched that idea to him. So I'm booked in there. I'm going there in June to meet him and the team at Loch Lomond, and he's going to let me take along the camera and film whatever I want to do and let me do my own thing. But if he likes that idea and me using Loch Lomond in that way to illustrate that concept, I think it could be fun. Alchemist, this is in. Good to see you in, Sevi. I'm glad you made it. I know you were a bit late from work tonight. So what are we drinking tonight, everyone? Does Aquaviti have a dram on the go? I'm just about to finish off my Highland Park 18 and uncork my Deanston, but I'm going to see quickly. No, just making sure my guest isn't in. Is a Highland Park 18, Sevi, just something. Yeah, my passions weren't firing tonight, and I just kind of looked at the cabinet and reached for something that was nearby. And it's kind of getting low to the level that it might end up in a recycled review soon. Ben Marnick is in. Ben, good to see you. Metalman71, also Andy C. So many of you joining as well. Ben Marnick is saying, my daughter just tried the Glencoyne teapot dram and liked it. I wonder what age your daughter as well. She's never seen a live stream before and is enjoying it. Well, welcome, Ben Marnix. And I know, Ronnie, that it's not your name, but welcome, Ronnie's daughter, whatever your name is. And I hope you're of legal age to enjoy that rather potent dram. If you can enjoy teapot dram, that's going to be your flavour profile, I guess, kind of rich sherry. But yeah, that's something else. Tony Nelson. You're here, Tony. Were you here earlier? Are you aware, Tony, that you have won yourself a Port Ellen dram? He's saying, I have an SMWS bottle that people either call it Inchmurren or Loch Lomond, SMWS 112. Why the two names? Well, it's just a branding exercise by Loch Lomond because they have the ability to make so many different styles of whiskey. They have different levels of peating. So they have Inchmurren, Inchmoan, Loch Lomond, and there's another one. It'll come to you later. And it's just a brand to do with their different styles of whiskey. It's not a different distillery. and they are interchangeable. And McCallum Finer Rare saying, welcome, daughter of Ben Marnock. Yeah, Tony's saying, yes, I was here. Sorry, Tony, I wasn't able to watch all the windows at the same time. But I hope you're pleased that you've managed to bag yourself a really special wee sample of a Port Ellen there. Fantastic. Inchmone, did I mention Inchmone? Crofton Gay, that's right. Well done, Jason. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Actually, I should have known that because I just read a review that you guys did in the last few weeks. I think it was an Adam Wells one, was it? Or was it one of yours? Might even actually been an SMWS one. Peter Eichen is in. He's saying, but a bit late. Hello all, just after 7:30 a.m. here. Wow. Yes, you're on the other side of the world, Peter, but it's wonderful for you to drop in and say hello and join us. Fantastic that so many of you are doing the same thing. Tony is saying, most definitely pleased. Thanks for the Loch Lomond backstory. Zach Andrews is saying, I had the sample you sent this past weekend of the Teapot Dram. It was fantastic. So Zach, I wonder which sample did I send to you? It must have been batch 6 then, most recent one. And Malt Review is saying, yes, Adam did one. Was that not the kind of final review from Adam? He did... Adam writes some great reviews. It's almost like you forget about what he's saying about the whiskey because you're enjoying what he's writing so much. But yeah, I think that might have been his final review was a Loch Lomond one. Excellent. Whiskey Wims is saying, see you, Bart. He's saying, signing off. Talk to you soon. It's a wee bit later for all you guys in Europe. Let's see. I've got the spreadsheet here for the Game of Thrones giveaway. Yes, I do. Better if you've entered the Game of Thrones giveaway, there's a better chance of you getting this set of Game of Thrones, and I'll tell you the backstory to that, but I'll perhaps save that for when Rob joins us in a wee while. Let's check quickly to see if my friend has dropped in. He's not dropped in yet. Make sure he's not having any problems. Oh, it looks like he's just enjoying his dinner. Let's get this Deanston cracked open. The only glass I have is my Glasgow Distillery 1770. I'll give it a wee rinse out with some water. Now, we had lots and lots of distillery exclusive Deanstons available to us yesterday, and it's been there for a while. With I don't even remember them all. The Sauterne was there, Spanish Oak was there, Palo Cortado they still had in stock. Obviously bought a bottle of that a few weeks ago. Various distillery only, as well as the bottle your own at the distillery. But I took the plunge and bought the organic. And I've spoke about for some time how sometimes when you're enjoying all these really, really bold, powerful, characterful, wonderful, delicious, flavoursome whiskies, maybe wine finishes and heavy sherry, heavy smoke, you know, maybe extreme sometimes examples of their style, that it's wonderful to sit down with a whiskey that is absolutely as clean and as straight and as unmessed with as it can be. And organic is a good whiskey for that reason, because they even the barrels that they mature organic whiskey in have to be organic compliant. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but for instance, if you were to use some sherry casking or whatever, it would need to be compliant with organic methods and all this kind of thing. And every time I sip the Deanston Organic, now this is vatted, it's not exclusively bourbon cask or anything, but you get this impression that it's one of these really, really pure, clean. We have I think we have a Rob in. Rob, if you're joining. Yes, I can hear you, but I'm trying to work out how I can hear you because you're muted. And I hope we're not getting any feedback loops. Can you hear me, Rob? let's see. If you unmute yourself now. If you press your unmute button.
Is that better?
Ah, yes. I can see you now. And I think I can hear you. Speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
I just need to change a couple of things. I'm so glad that this is just a patron stream tonight and not a public one, because it's been a while since I've done this. Okay, let's see. Right, I should be able to hear you even better now. And get over here.
I just realized I didn't plug in my lighting, so I'll let you quickly
fix my audio. Okay, I think we should be running, big guy. I think we're okay. Can you hear me nice and clear now?
I can hear you. I just plug in my light real quick. Sorry. There we go. I think this should be
better. Can hear you, but I just see an empty chair.
There we go. My apologies.
No, no need to apologize. Listen, this is just a nice informal thing tonight. We've got a fantastic turnout though, Rob. There's 64 people in. Please say hello to everybody. I think pretty much everybody in will know who you are, my friend, but go ahead and introduce yourself and say hello to everyone.
Hello, ladies and gents. I'm the guy that hopefully will provide one lucky Patron of Roy's, the Game of Thrones whiskeys. So
yes, and it's fantastic to see you as well. I'm very glad that it didn't clash with a Game of Thrones episode, right? Because I know that you're a complete Game of Thrones fan, and that would probably take your priority, right?
Yeah, Sunday nights, my friends know not to knock on the door or call my house.
You're in lockdown mode, yeah. I mean, it's for us. It goes out, I think, 2 a.m. in the morning, and my wife and I catch it on the Monday night, and we really love it. We're really enjoying it, and we're excited for each episode every week. But I don't think we're as crazy into it as you are. I mean, you're actually doing a series of live streams after the Thrones whiskey, right?
Yeah, whiskey after the Thrones. It's one of those things where I actually want to expand it. I really like the idea. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of other things that I could be talking about bringing into the whiskey world, or just chatting about with whiskey in hand, because I think that's something that links us all. But then there's other topics that we would all be interested in talking about too. So it seems
Absolutely.
like it's semi-successful so far, I guess.
Yeah, and also your streams go out at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning for me. So I thank you so much for your invite to join the stream quite recently. But as much as I love Game of Thrones, and as much as I love you, and as much as I love whiskey, I love my bed more.
Yeah,
I hope you'll forgive me.
I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you.
I was just talking about this Deanston, and the reason I bought this from the distillery, despite having all this wonderful selection of really characterful, rich, bold, flavoursome Deanstons from the distillery just the other day, I bought something that I can buy from any retailer. I bought something I can buy online easy. Just one of their standard expressions. It was a 50-year-old organic. And it's kind of because it gives me this really clean experience. You know, sometimes I often talk about that my favourite whiskies are whiskies that's just been left alone in a semi-quiet or perhaps refill cask for a long time. And my theory behind that isn't, it's just an amateur theory, an enthusiast's theory, that, you know, the spirit is not overpowered by the wood. You know, the wood's its refill, it's not been active enough to dominate over the spirit. So the spirit's still got a voice. It's been long enough for the wood to have a voice, but it's also been long enough for the environment to play a part. Do you know what I'm getting at there? Would you agree at all, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have something that kind of fits that description. That I haven't decided what to pour, but since you said all of that, I know this is one of your favorites, and I think it fits right in there with that description of something that probably doesn't have an overpowered cask. I guess you can something that's not overpowering the spirit. You get a little bit of the distillery characteristic, a little bit of that oak influence, but ultimately it just like, you know, the beauty of what the master distiller and master blender are putting together.
Absolutely, and I think that when we get a good batch of Clynelish, when the waxiness element is intact, and when it has that nice texture, when it has, there's some people saying that your volume is a wee bit quiet, Rob. I don't know if I can do anything from this side. Let me check to see if I can crank your volume up a wee bit here.
I might be able to help with that. I do have my microphone.
I've tried it from my side. So
is it a little better, or if not, then I can try my microphone. I do have my.
No, it sounds a wee bit better to me now. That was Mikey Hay that said that. So let's give us an update, Mikey. What do you think? Is that any better?
Am I just speaking too low?
No, it's. I mean, I can hear you fine. But it might be that the guys can't turn up their volume because I'm a bit loud, and you're a bit quiet. So I'll just try to equalize it a wee bit. Okay.
Have you had an opportunity to try this Clynelish?
Sid Martin is saying, I can hear Rob's kid all the way from Canada.
Yeah,
show me that Clynelish.
This is the double matured distiller's edition. It's also 14 years old. It's got, I think, a combination of sherry and ex-bourbon.
Is it Amoroso sherry?
It could be. I haven't
give me one
reviewed this
second.
one yet. Could have a second of these somewhere. Not exactly sure where, but guys, I apologize. I can't see the chat. I'm using my phone. My computer was tucked away, and just calling it up would have been a bit of a problem. So
no, it's okay. I want to just have a quick chat with you anyway, and get this prize drawn, explain what this prize is about and things. But I went and grabbed this because it's in I call it my sweetie cupboard. In Scotland, we call candies sweeties, right? And I've got this cupboard that used to have all our books in it, and I got rid of the books. They're gone. It's full of the whiskies that are still sealed, the ones that don't fit in the open cabinet. And I've had this for a wee while now. I've had this Clynelish, but this one is actually, this is a 1991 bottling. So this is one I must have got at auction. So I'm going to keep this for a little while. But this says a good tip out there, because this is still available out there in shops and things around the world. This double matured Distiller's Edition Clynelish. And I think it did say what it was. It used to say what it was matured in, but I think it was that they called it Amoroso Sherry.
I think you're right. Well, actually, this one does say Oloroso.
Oloroso.
This one says, but this one's 97, so that could be the difference right there. Oloroso Seco cask wood.
Let's have a wee look inside. No, this says the same. It does. It says Oloroso Seco cask wood on the bottle. It doesn't say on the tube. But this is a 1991 Clynelish, and I'm a huge fan of Clynelish. If you've not worked that out already, and I don't know how anybody can not be a fan of Clynelish if they've been drinking and enjoying whiskey for any amount of time. It's just such a wonderful whiskey when it's looked after, at least. Wonderful whiskey. One of our absolute best. One of our best.
I was lucky enough to grab two of these for just under $100 Canadian, which for me is an absolute steal. So I think that was a great buy, because this one was bottled in 2011. So it's pretty, I mean, it's been on the shelf for quite some time. I don't know how Alberta does it, to be honest with you. You find these gems years after they were released, and they just pop up. They weren't on the shelf for years, and then all of a sudden they'll just show up.
If Whiskey Throttle was in tonight, he'd be giving you a hard time for talking about Alberta and its whiskey,
Yeah.
right?
he doesn't like to share very often. So
That's right. Whereas we're all about the sharing, right?
well, I mean, that's the only reason. Of course, there is the side of everyone, I think, or maybe not everyone, but that has a secret that they know they can just keep going back to the well and not having to share that information. But if I didn't share that information, I wouldn't feel right about myself, because there's so many people that are starved in Ontario for cheaper whiskey because we pay so much for whiskey. So I had to share. And it was about 2.5 years ago, and I know there's a lot of Albertans that hate me because of it. But
yeah, you took the hate. Well, somebody's got to do it. And I think the thing is that as a community, is when you do share, things are shared back with you. It's not like that it's just a one-way thing. And if you're kind of giving things out there, it's not like any of our channels are so massive that everybody's tuning in and listening, right?
Mhm.
So the people that do tune in and listen, if you kind of give them that wee reward and give them the tips and things that you've discovered, share that stuff, it comes back to you, and they share with you what they've discovered and what they're finding. And especially when we can reach geographically like we do, it can work in our favors right back, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I've met so many incredible people, and I've had so many favors that I would never expect my closest friends to do for me. I would never expect like some of my closest friends to go out of their way to get certain things that complete strangers have done for me, and not because I've asked, but just because they were doing it.
Hope.
Yeah, sorry, I just got a phone call for some reason. I thought this would cancel that out, but I guess not. Sorry about that.
No worries. I agree fully. Whiskey does encourage us, as I always say, to be better versions of ourselves. And I'm very happy to be part of this community. When I think of all the communities of the interests and pursuits I've had in my life, the whiskey community just leaves them all for dead, right?
Absolutely. I apologize for the background noise. My this is right around bath time for my children. So
No, I'm just glad you're able to join. I thought it was too good an opportunity not to have you.
No. Sorry about
I'll bring it in.
that. He wants to hug me. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh,
This
it's
is
your
my mini
son.
me right here. Sorry, guys.
Hi, buddy.
Say hi to Roy.
Hi, Roy.
Hi, little guy.
All right, you just made your YouTube appearance, buddy. Okay, now you close the door behind you, please. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it at all. Fantastic. I have the exact same thing. That's actually, if the truth be told, one of the reasons that my streams go out at 9:45 in the evening is because I know that there's a good chance that all the kids are going to be settled. Although as they're getting older, it's getting harder and harder to guarantee that. That's
Yeah,
one of the reasons it's so late.
I try to do the same thing. So that's usually Thursday is one of the best days for me to do it, because the wife goes to teach a class in a few hours. The kids are sleeping. Then I kind of have those hours to just do my thing. But since the Whiskey After the Thrones, I decided to put the Thursdays on hold for a little while. So
yeah, you can only give up so many hours for sure. Whiskey Wims is saying he picked up a 1995 Clynelish Signatory. 22-year-old from Edredar, so excited to try it. I'm sure you're going to love it, Stuart. I think you will. The Alchemist is saying Epiphany whiskey for me. That Clynelish 16 you generously gave me, Aquavita. It's incredible. Oh, wow. I'm trying to remember which Clynelish I gave you now, Sevi. I've got quite a few I could have drawn from. And I know that our mutual friend Scott Monroe is a huge Clynelish fan, to the point he's even got a Clynelish Infinity bottle on the go. So let's talk about how this giveaway came around, Rob, because it's really quite funny. You had like 500 people enter a competition for these Game of Thrones, right?
yeah. At least, I mean, so those videos were well received, and quite a few people left comments to enter into the contest. And I guess you didn't really realize by leaving a comment you entered yourself into the contest. So
exactly right. I had no idea I'd entered.
Yeah, which was awesome. And that's kind of the way things always work, right? So
yeah.
My friend Paulo did the draw. I mean, I randomly picked or got a number on my phone. Paulo went through the list and he said, "It's Roy Aquavita." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I obviously
I shared it in the Patreon feed, and I know you, and I need to say thanks as well, because I know it's a bit crazy that we support each other, that we're patrons of each other, right? We're kind of giving money to Patreon there, but I think it's a wonderful thing that just happens in the community, that the peers support each other as well. So thank you for being a patron of this channel, Rob. But you might have seen that I put the link in there to the exact point in the video so that people could see your reaction, because you turned around to your buddy and you were like, Aquaviti, you're kidding, right? It's like, and it's like, that's not who I want to win this. It's got to go to a follower.
But
and
you know
I
what?
think you did.
It was cool because I was happy to share that with you, and then you did an even cooler thing by pushing it into like, you know, this collaboration right now. But it also gave me another opportunity to redraw another person as well. So it was
well,
cool.
that's, but you came back to me and you said, hey brother, you won the draw tonight. I'll send them over to you, or alternatively, you know, you and I can talk to each other. You can have anything you want, and that's kind of through that discussion we came up with this idea of, well, let's kind of throw it out to the community. Let's, instead of, I mean, I've got the Game of Thrones bottles that I want and things, and you know, the Royal Loch-in the Cardew, those kind of things. These are the standard expressions. So I think it's a nice thing just to offer out to the community, and I think you thought that was a great idea, right? Absolutely. So we now have, I think if I draw up the spreadsheet here, I can tell you that we have 44 people have entered and declared you, Rob, as the true king.
That's awesome.
And you saw the image that I shared, right, of you in the hall.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I showed my wife, she was dying.
Yeah.
I don't know how Daenerys would feel about all this, but I'll accept the true king the rights.
Well, in these times and in this whiskey world, let's go with it. Especially, and I think everybody in here with a chance to win a set of a full set of Game of Thrones samples, they'd be quite happy with that as well. So let's go ahead and draw it, shall we? Instead of using my virtual assistant tonight, I usually use Siri. I better wake her up by saying that. I'm going to use you to draw the winning number, okay? But what I'll do is I'll randomize it. After you've picked the number, I'll randomize it so that everybody knows that it's above board and completely up and out to chance, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, so we've got 44. I'll do a screen share in a second. We've got 44 people. Pick a number then, Rob, between 0 and 44 to see who's going to get this set.
This is probably as terrible a secret as John being related to Danny. I'm probably just going to have to go with 6.
Wow. Okay, then we leave it up to the randomizer in the spreadsheet. That's a fantastic idea. I never even thought of that. It's a great idea. Okay, let me do a screen share. And I'm going to hide who number 6 is now. So I'll scroll away so that whoever is currently number 6, nobody is going to get to know, okay? And I'll pull up this screen share. Too many windows. Okay, so soon you should see this window. And nobody can see who number 6 is because it's off the screen, right?
Correct.
And if I just randomize the range, that's that done.
Yep.
Now I'm going to scroll up to number 6. It's Simon Ray. Simon Ray. Now, do you just congratulate Simon Ray and tell him exactly what he's won?
So, Simon, congratulations. You've won the 8 Game of Thrones samples. So each of the expressions, or like I offered Roy, I'll offer you the exact same thing. Instead of the Game of Thrones expressions, or if you want a couple of them, I can give you a couple of them and give you pretty much anything I have open off of my bar. So let me know what you would prefer. We can have a quick conversation on email. Maybe Roy can share my email with you, and then we can go from there.
Fantastic. I'm trying to just search to see. I haven't spotted Simon in tonight. Now he is quite a regular barfly for us. So we usually see Simon lurking around, and I'm wondering if he's in tonight. I'm sure he would have chatted already. But Simon Ray, congratulations, my friend. That's a really cool thing to win from Rob. Well done. And Rob, thanks so much for coming in and that really cool idea of obviously choosing number 6.
It's my pleasure.
Now,
Thank you for hosting, and that was an awesome idea of yours, to be honest, to be able to share with your patrons. That's a very cool idea. So thank you.
Excellent, excellent. It's not whiskey till it's shared, big guy, right? So let's. I've got a suggestion for you, but I need to ask you how you are for time. Have you got 20 minutes or so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I've made a kind of this is a patron only stream, and for a while I wasn't doing quizzes. I wasn't doing a quiz at the end, and I had a lot of messages and people saying, "Well, why do you treat us differently? What about the people that really like the quiz at the end? Can we not have it on the patron stream?" And I said, "Yes. Why should I make less effort for the patrons?" And so there is a quiz that I've put together tonight, but it's really fun. It's a kind of tongue in cheek. There's a lot of questions that's directly related to the Whiskey in the Six channel. So how do you feel about staying for the quiz?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Awesome, awesome. And hopefully the rest of you guys, now normally we see a kind of drop off in traffic, the people that are not interested in the quiz. But I've had so much feedback recently that the quiz has become such a thing that if I was to kill the quiz or stop doing it, I think the backlash would be painful for me. And that's kind of cool because it keeps a bit of structure and it kind of keeps a bit of fun. You know, there's no prizes or anything in a quiz. It's just for kudos. You keep your own score and things. But I hope you'll play along, Rob, and see how you got on too.
Absolutely.
But let's see.
You don't want me to verbally say my answers, correct?
Any way you want to do it. I don't want to, if you want to play along in the quiz and if you want to take a guess, or if there's obviously some of these that you're going to know outright because some of these are directly related to your channel. I would hope that you know them, right? But yeah, you can play right along and you can say, so you can't see the chat anyway. So I'll just ask you for what answer you would go with on any question, right?
Okay, cool. And the other thing, maybe the first person to answer your first question, I will also give a sample of something too. How about that?
Okay, just watch. I've done that before as well, and it's wonderful, and it's great to share. It's certainly great to get the feedback when people love the sample as well. But the amount of money it costs you in postage.
I know. I've got a list of people that I have to get to, but they all end up getting them eventually. So.
Right. It looks, Kilted Moose is saying that Simon is in the chat.
Oh,
there
nice.
he is. He said, Simon Ray is saying, thanks, Rob. He's drinking the Klein Leash Game of Thrones right now.
Nice.
Congratulations, Simon.
Right here. I have 3 Klein Leash on the go right now, actually. So maybe I should pour one of these later on. I was going to save this one actually for this Sunday coming up for this whiskey and whiskey after.
What's your favorite Game of Thrones release then?
It's got to be the Lagavulin. The Lagavulin is a beautiful. I mean, Ralphie, I know that you really enjoyed it as well. You did it a while ago. Ralphie just released his review of it. Honestly, I think it's. I wish they would have done more like that. I wish they would have done more just original one-offs that are, age stated and 46%. But I mean, the Lagavulin definitely is my favorite.
Listen, they could have been really, and do you know what the Game of Thrones collection series has it's really held up a mirror to all of us, to the whiskey community, because it stoked such a sense of hoarding and collectible fever, collection fever. I mean, I don't know what it did, but I had a friend of mine who's a very close friend of mine, and we enjoy whiskey together. He's got a massive collection. He's got a really nice collection. Practically everything's open. He shares all his whiskey. He's not a hoarder or collector. But he called me out of the blue and said, Roy, the only bottle I can't get is Royal Lochnagar. I'm going to drive up to Royal Lochnagar, the distillery, because they've put one aside for me. Can you get one any easier? And I said, relax. There's a bunch of these and they're coming out and bunches at a time. That very next day, the Whiskey Exchange released news that they'd got more in. There was news come out that there was more coming out in early June. This isn't like limited release like, a Springbank or a Macallan or something. This is thousands of bottles globally, right?
Yeah. No, it's that's what blows my mind is that they're already going for secondary prices. But if people just are a little more patient, they're going to find them, because so many people are hoarding them and they're not going to go up that much in value. I don't think. I could be wrong. I mean, what still blows my mind is how the Buffalo Trace Antique collection goes for astronomical prices, yet almost each expression has 30 to 40,000 a year produced. So I'll never figure that one out. But
still that one does sell out. That one definitely does sell out. But I mean, what happened recently, there's a company in the UK, you've probably heard of the Whiskey Barrel, right?
Yep.
And they were selling the Springbank 12-year-old cask strength for £150. Now, I found this tweet the same week that Sevi, who's in tonight, the alchemist, had grabbed a bottle of the 12-year-old cask strength for me at retail from a retail shop. He was nearby a shop, went in, got a bottle for himself and a bottle for me. We paid retail. The very next week, the Whiskey Barrel is selling that £60 bottle for 150. And when challenged on Twitter, their reply was, we are matching secondary prices for this expression. Now, this is a retailer, and the retailer is deciding that it's not going to give the profit to the flipper or whoever's taking it to auction for secondary. The retailer is deciding that they, as a retailer, they're going to make their profit that the secondary market is making, which I think is absolutely horrific. They are making a decision that the person who's buying that Springbank or any other thing, any other expression that they're doing that with, is going to be a flipper, that they're in it for profit. They're taking the whiskey out of the hands of drinkers by making that decision, and I think it is just inexcusable. However, we are in a capitalist world, a capitalist society, and they are free to make business decisions as they want, but we can make purchasing decisions as we want.
Correct.
So with that, sorry, Rob, with the Game of Thrones release, they put a set of Game of Thrones releases up. The full set, £1,500, £1,500 they were selling it for. So after the auctions, when all the Game of Thrones sold at retail, £400, £420, maybe £5, £10, £20 higher than retail. But they basically flattened out at retail because the auctions in the UK were overwhelmed by Game of Thrones releases. I tweeted them and I said, just to let you know, a little helpful, polite message of courtesy to keep you right and let you know what the secondary prices are for the Game of Thrones series. I didn't get a response back from the Whiskey Barrel. I might have made enemies there. It's not intentional, but I don't think it's fair either.
No, it's not. And it's actually starting to happen in Alberta, which is what my fear was when it started getting really popular and people were buying. What happened was a lot of whiskey was sitting on the shelves because Albertans refused to pay high prices for whiskey. Ontarians are so, and people from British Columbia as well, are so used to paying high prices for whiskey because they pay heavy taxes to the government that controls their whiskey distribution, that they started buying from Alberta and just pretty much buying everything. So all those Dusties pretty much at this point are almost all gone from Alberta. So now you're starting to see companies like Craft Cellars, and I've had no problem bashing them on my own channel just because they're putting everything up at secondary prices, and it's terrifying. And at some point, they're actually going to be more expensive in Alberta, all whiskeys, than what they are in Ontario and BC, because at least we are government controlled, whereas they can just do whatever they want.
It's very curious, and I think that we all just have to, as long as we prioritize drinking and enjoying the whiskey, we can relax a wee bit and not really get involved too much in the dynamics. But I think the problem comes along when there's really nice bottles that you do love and you do want to buy to drink, end up the prices just taking them out of our hands and out of our reach. I think that's what makes it a bit of a shame, unfortunately. But let's go on with this quiz. Let's have a bit of fun here and just let people see this kind of fun quiz there is a couple of questions in here that's normal questions, let's say, but most of them are just good fun. And let's see how it goes on with everybody. We're looking at quarter. I'm already on air 90 minutes already, Rob. Even these streams go really, really quickly. Thanks to everybody for joining in tonight, and I hope you enjoy this little quiz with Rob participating. You ready, big guy?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay. Question 1, which of these malts was not represented by the Game of Thrones releases? I'll try and get through this quite quickly tonight. Was not represented. A, Dalwhinnie, B, Glenkinchie, or C, Glendullan? Don't answer straight away, Rob. Let the guys have 5 or 10 seconds to get their questions in. Was it A, Dalwhinnie, B, Glenkinchie, or C, Glendullan? Do you think you know the answer to this one already?
Yes, I think I do. I could be wrong.
I'd be surprised if you didn't, right? So obviously the normal thing, everybody that's in tonight will know the rules for this quiz. People, just keep your own scores. You're only playing against yourself, and it's just for fun. Rob, go ahead. What do you think it is?
So you said not.
It's not represented, right?
Well, Glendullen and Singleton are the same, are they not?
That's right. Singleton is a brand. Glendullen is a distillery. Yep.
Right. So then I would say B, Glenkinchie.
And you're absolutely right. Glenkinchie.
That could trick some people though, just because they see Singleton on the bottle and they, so you might
That's
get a
right. So what Diageo have done with the Singleton series is they've taken Dufton Distillery in Dufton. Glendullen is also in Dufton. And there's a third distillery, Glenord, which is not a Speyside distillery. It's a Highland distillery. But they've got Diageo have got these three distilleries making a fairly similar spirit. And in order to avoid, this was a concept that came up years ago, in order for them to avoid bottlenecks and allocation issues, they branded all of these three spirits under the Singleton brand. And they're very, very similar and interchangeable. But originally Glenord was Asia, Glendullen was mostly the Americas, and in the UK and Europe we tended to get Singleton of Dufton. But it's kind of switched up a bit, and I've noticed in travel retail and things like that, I've come across Glenord as well as the Glendullen and the Dufton and things like that. So that's the story behind Singleton, right?
Right. Were there a few people that put C in the chat?
I think there's a couple of, pretty much everybody. There's a few people said C for Glendullen, but Singleton of Glendullen was indeed a Game of Thrones release. But I think the reason that people would get that wrong is that there's going to be lots and lots of whiskey folk out there that just didn't connect with the Game of Thrones releases at all, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's hit up question 2. Sandy Hislop, and I've just noticed I've spelled his name wrong, I think. Sandy Hislop, regardless, is the master blender for, this is a tricky one, Rob, I know. It's a tricky one for me. Is he the master blender for Diageo PLC, Edrington Group, or Chivas Brothers? Sandy Hislop is the master blender for Diageo PLC, Edrington Group, or Chivas Brothers. Now, the reason I threw this in here is that there was a kind of cool article on scotchwhiskey.com where Sandy Hislop was being interviewed. And I thought that was quite cool because as malt aficionados and malt fans, we don't often pay a lot of attention to the people that are actually charged with the biggest tasks in the whiskey industry, and that's to keep these blends consistent batch after batch after batch. Quite interesting. And I think Hislop, his surname is spelt with a Y and not an I, as I've put in there. Do you want to stab a guess at that, Rob, or do you think you know?
I feel like since we're talking Game of Thrones, then it would only be wise for me to choose A on this one. But I guess I'm wrong because it's the Chivas. You're shaking your head.
I think we're it's me. I like to throw in banana skins from time to time, right?
Yeah, that was a good
and
one.
just kind of oh, we're talking about Rob Whiskey 6. We're talking about Game of Thrones tonight. But in fact, this guy, Sandy Hislop, is the master blender for your second guess, Chivas Brothers.
That would have been my first guess just because I didn't recognize the name.
No.
But because what threw me off was the fact that we were talking about Game of Thrones and then
I didn't either. I didn't know it either. And that's the reason I kind of threw it in there, just because, we tend to know the names of the whiskey makers when they're making the malts. But the people behind the blends, we know a lot less. I guess Nick Morgan, it would be, and Diageo, and Sandy Hislop at Chivas. I mean, these guys have got huge tasks, right? And the crowd, let's see who got it right. Most people got it right. Mose, Pear, Jeremy Sims, Multi-Haggis Muncher. Steve A actually said Chivas, isn't he? You're absolutely right, Steve. Most people, Pear and most people are already happy. If they've got 2 out of 2. Nice. So most of them are a wee bit easier. Here's an easy one for you, Rob. Question 3 is, Rob's whiskey for the year 2018 was from A. Macallan, B. Springbank, or C. Balblair? There you go. I'm looking at you. Your whiskey of the year last year. Okay, you look comfortable. I'm okay with that. Was it A. Macallan, was it B. Springbank, or was it C. Balblair? Now, what's interesting about this is that I know it's your whiskey of the year, but often when we are putting together kind of lists and picking favourites and being forced to choose between 2 or 3 different whiskies, there's so many that you can easily forget, I think.
Absolutely. Especially if there were multiple, if you threw in multiple, like from that year, it would have been tough. It would have been a lot tougher for sure.
That's right.
I only know because I've only done 3 of these, and 2 of them have been from the same distillery, despite the fact that one of them is an independent bottler. So I'm probably giving away something right there.
Well, you're very, very, you'll be flattered to know that pretty much everybody in this chat knows. Everybody knows that it is, in fact. Rob, tell us.
C. Balblair.
It is Balblair. A G&M, I think it was a 23-year-old Balblair, right?
Correct.
One that I have got no chance of sourcing unless I find it at auction.
I actually have a backup bottle because when this came out, I only bought one, and when I tried it, immediately I had anxiety. Immediately I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get another bottle of this. I better run out right now. Like, call everybody, find it. So I ended up finding another bottle. Thank goodness. And yeah, that G&M is something special for sure.
It was that good. Fantastic. Okay, question 4. This is a difficult one as well. In whiskey, STR stands for what? Let's see how the crowd got on with this one. Is it A, shaving, toasting, and recharring? Is it B, sulfur, tannin, and rancio? Is it C, stripping, treating, and refilling? So I'm obviously speaking about, in fully whiskey terms, STR stands for what? I'm going to leave that slide up so that people can study it rather than me distract them or us distract them with our faces. A, shaving, toasting, and recharring. B, sulfur, tannin, and rancio. C, stripping, treating, and refilling. This is one of those ones that if you know it, you know it, and if you don't, you don't. So I'll leave it up.
I'm going to say it's between 2. I'm not going to answer just yet.
All right.
Tristan. Oh, are you? The other one's coming now.
Come, guys.
Where's your mother?
No. Here.
Maybe they want to participate in the quiz.
Going down.
If I'd started these live streams just a few years ago, very recently, this is exactly what would be happening in my house every Thursday night. We're all very fortunate that my kids are just that wee bit older now, that they're able to understand the consequences of not going to bed.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Do you want to stab a guess, or?
I mean, I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna say it's probably it's between C and A, but I'm gonna say C.
Okay, STR is shaving, toasting, and recharring. A is the right answer. Now, the reason I brought that one up is that Kilchoman have just released an edition that's just come out. It's expensive, but I suppose it's kind of run of the mill for a Kilchoman just now. It's about £80, I think, at retail. And it's exclusively from this concept of casks that have been treated in this way, the stripping, toasting, and recharring method. And in the article I read at scotchwhiskey.com today, that's fully credited to the late Jim Swan. It was his concept to do this. So if you answered A, give yourself a point as we swing into question 5. I'm going to give an image here of a distillery, and I have no chance. I mean, I would struggle to have even worked out that this is a distillery, but of course, I'm just going to leave this image up here and ask people what distillery we are looking at. Are we looking at Corby in Canada? Are we looking at North British in Scotland? Or are we looking at Jack Daniel's in Tennessee? A for Corby in Canada, B for North British in Scotland, C for Jack Daniel's in Tennessee. And I'll just move that away so that everybody can get a good look at that image on the live, and I'll leave that image up there. Rob, I can see your thumbnail. I can see a very small image of you. Just give me a thumbs up if you think you know what that is. Or
well, to be honest with you, I didn't get the image. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm on the phone. It's not showing up on my thing.
Of course, you're in a Hangout, so if you only see. Can you see anything at all?
No,
Can you
I
see a
have
small
no.
thumbnail even?
I haven't seen any of the questions or the comments, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure because I realise we're actually on a Hangout call when the rest of them are seeing what's broadcast from that call. So yeah, this is a big this is a big red brick building. It's 2 towers. I think not only do I think you would get this, but I think you might even have been there. So I'll give everyone a guess and tell everybody that we are actually looking at Corby in Canada.
Yeah.
And I think would I be right in saying that's where they make Lot 40?
Yeah. They pretty much make all of Weiser's products there. So Weiser's Lot 40, Pike Creek, and Gooderham and Warts, and they also make a lot of Canadian Club whiskey there as well. Actually, all of Canadian Club whiskey, unless it's coming from Alberta. That's their Canadian Club rye comes from Alberta. The majority of the corn comes from that distillery there.
Talking about Canadian Club in the upcoming gathering in Glasgow, I was gifted a bottle of whiskey recently from Foodquig, and I accepted it from him. I was so blown away by this gift. I accepted it from him only in the condition that I was allowed to share it with the community when we got together for the gathering in Glasgow. He shared a Canadian Club 40-year-old.
Nice. Yeah, those are very nice whiskeys, I think.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing gesture by Andy, right? I was really blown away by that, and he was quite happy that we were going to find a way to share it. So I'm either going to weave it into the tasting, and if I don't weave it into the tasting that we do that day, I'll maybe have it later on in the day. But there's lots of kind of sharing going to be going on. I'm really looking forward to that thing that's happening, and I loved the Lot 40 that I tried from that distillery as well. It looks like it was a banana skin for the crowd. So many people did get it right by answering A, but quite a lot of people guessed one of the other options there. Mark Slinger is saying, wow, bring on Glasgow. Absolutely, Mark. Okay, let's move on to question 7 and ask everybody which of these malts matched House Targaryen. Now, to save the Googling fingers, I'm going to do this quite fast. Was House Targaryen A, Royal Lochnagar, B, Lagavulin, or C, Cardew? What was House Targaryen? I can see Rob smiling. He's thinking either he's confident he knows it or he's wishing he had them in front of him so he could quickly check. Was it A, Royal Lochnagar, B, Lagavulin, or C, Cardew? So obviously, because of the view that you're seeing, Rob, you can't even see what's being shown live and what is you're only seeing me, right?
Correct. Yeah, I see you and then the 3 boxes at the bottom.
Okay. So very, very quickly, I'm going to give the answer to this one. Rob, do you know this one?
It's Cardew.
You're absolutely right. C, Cardew for that one, and the crowd was right as well. The crowd were, for the most part, right. Vito is kicking himself.
I feel like they should have chose something a little stronger for the Targaryens, but
yeah, I don't know what the rationale was behind some of the matches, because am I right in saying Lagavulin is Lannister?
Correct. Yeah, I was wondering if there was some sort of geographical.
Yeah. I was wondering that as well. If they kind of, because Westeros is mostly the UK, which would make me a wildling, right? So, Hadrian's Wall and the Antonine Wall and things like that. Although I have to say, we don't need dragons to get over the wall nowadays, which is fortunate.
Unless you were thinking that the 7 kingdoms all fit within Scotland, and then you would think that the Lagavulin was chosen for the Lannisters because they're from the south.
I've just had someone point out what's happened to question 6, and they're absolutely right. I think I've missed a question tonight. In my haste to put together a patron quiz, I think I've missed a question 6. So I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if I can make one up on kind of ad hoc. Let's see if we can work it out. It might just be out of 9, or I'll maybe come up with something. So let's see what we can do. I'll come up with something to make another question. There we go.
If you'd
Okay,
like,
buddy.
I can make a question 10 really quickly at the end if you want.
Excellent. You can do it now or at the end.
Sure, I can do it now. Yeah.
Do it now. Do you have 3 multiple choices you can give us, or is it just a straight answer?
So I could do 3 multiple choice actually. So Roy and I collaborated on a video on my channel. Was it A, a rundown, B, a collection video, or C, a recycled video?
So A for rundown, B for collection, and C for recycled?
Correct.
Okay, what was the collaboration that Rob and I did? Was it A, a rundown? Was it B, a collection, or C, a recycled review? I remember that. I wonder how long ago that was, Rob. I think it was quite a while ago.
Got to be at least 1.5 years, maybe almost 2 years.
It's crazy, right?
It flies by.
Are you going to make the Texas thing?
I'm going to do my best. Honestly, I would love to, but it's just that October is a terrible month for teachers because we have, we meet all the parents of our students, and then my wife and I are both teachers. So there's that. Then that weekend is Canadian Thanksgiving as well. So there's a lot of family obligations that weekend as well. For my wife to do that all on her own, it would be pretty tough. So we're gonna try. She wants me to go, but
it would be awesome because you and I feel like I know you, I really do, but we've never actually met. It would be wonderful to shake your hand.
Absolutely.
And this question that you've thrown in here, Whiskey Jason, is same question 7B. You Star Jason, he's saying, lots of people are in fact, it's only the people that have been following for a long time. It shows how long ago that collaboration you mentioned was. Jez Batty got it right. Rolf Ebhead got it right. Mikey Hay got it right. It was a recycled review we did, right?
Correct, yeah.
We did it live. You were throwing away bottles and we tried to kind of do ad hoc reviews on the cuff and things. That was good fun that night. So there you go. Thanks very much, Rob, you star, for pulling me out and plugging that gap of the missing question. And
my pleasure.
Eagle-eyed, I can't remember actually who mentioned now that there was a missing question. Yeah, I'm still making mistakes. I'm such an amateur. Okay,
I make mistakes every day on this channel,
right.
On my channel especially. I mean,
that's what we're here for. Okay, single pot still Irish uses hybrid column and pot stills, unmalted grain in pot stills, or the smallest pot stills in Irish distilling. What does single pot still Irish whiskey, that specific genre of Irish whiskey, single pot still Irish, uses? A, hybrid pot stills with columns, B, unmalted grain distilled in pot stills, or C, the smallest pot stills in the Irish distilling? A, B, or C? I think this is quite an easy one. How do you feel, Rob?
I feel like I'm pretty confident, but I mean that doesn't mean anything. I easily get the confident ones wrong sometimes. So.
That's right. Do you know the quiz that we usually do? Do you ever catch the quiz that we do? Sometimes
I do. Yeah, I do actually. I usually know them, but I refrain from putting in my answer because I'm often wrong. So.
And that's right. I mean, I think that people think because we talk about whiskey, because we review whiskies and things, that we're super knowledgeable, whereas we're just as likely to get caught out as anyone else. And what people need to understand about me as well, a lot of these quizzes and questions that I put together, I put the questions in there because literally I learned something from compiling the quiz.
Yeah.
You know, it's in no way to show off my knowledge, because if I was taking my own quiz, it would be disastrous sometimes.
You know, it's funny because I started the channel trying to give information for each review, and that was one of the things that I did. But there's a lot of people that are way better than that, way better than I at that. Sorry, at pulling together the information and presenting it in a concise way, that I felt like my best attribute on my channel would just be using my palate, my nose, and just giving people my opinion, and that's all I've been really focusing on with my channel. As
That's
far
right.
as,
And I think it's especially valuable when you find people, or when people can find reviewers that their palates match. Anyway, let's look at this. The answer is, of course, B, unmalted grain and pot stills. Now, of course, they have to have a proportion of malted barley in there as well, or let's say a wash that's been fermented from malted and unmalted barley. And I think there is a ratio, and don't quote me on what the ratio is, but they have to have a minimum. But they have to have, in order to be single pot still Irish, it needs to have unmalted barley in there.
I
Question.
wonder if it has anything to do with the fact, like, I know that a lot of bourbons use malted barley as well, and I wonder if it has to do with the same reasoning, where the malted barley helps the fermenting process a little bit faster.
They need from the malted content, they need that in order to start the chain reaction of enzymes.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think in Scotch, I think it's 5% malted. But I mean, in single pot still Irish, I think it's much higher than that, the malted content. And it came around because of a tax issue. So I think it was when it was under the English Treasury back in the day. The English taxed malted barley as a very coarse, ugly, and clumsy way of taxing the amount of alcohol they're producing. They taxed the grain, and they taxed it as malted grain. And of course, the Irish very cleverly just decided, well, okay, we'll start using unmalted barley then, and to save paying tax, right? But what it did is, over time, even when that legislation had changed, by that time there was already a genre of whiskey established, and so they kept it.
Interesting.
It's kind of cool. It's very cool. Okay, question 9. Whiskey in the Six refers to, I'm hoping you get this one right. I hope I've got it right. Whiskey in the Six refers to A, a kickboxing term, B, it references Toronto boroughs, or C, whiskey coming from behind you. Whiskey in your six, right?
Watch your six.
So what is where does whiskey in a six come from? Let's see if this Irish pot still question, who got that one right. Pretty much everybody. I've got a very knowledgeable. Don't you find that the audience are often way more knowledgeable than we are, Rob?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially the ones that are like leaving comments. The Patreons, I would say the Patreons the most, because they appreciate so much what people are putting out there because they are so knowledgeable, right? So
it's passion. It's passion for the product that's brought us all together, and that inevitably means a lot of knowledge is built up in there. It's really cool. So this I'll get question 9 out of the way and find out who's still doing really well. This one, there are a few people laughing. The Canadians are having a specific laugh about this, and it might be something to do with me making a backside of the question. I'm not very sure. But let's see. Rob, tell us, where does Whiskey in the Six come from?
The 6 boroughs of Toronto. So I think that was B, right?
B, absolutely. So it's nothing to do with kickboxing, and it's nothing to do with whiskey in your six.
That's more of an American term, watch your six. Meaning watch your butt, basically.
That's right. Watch what's coming from behind you. That's right. Absolutely right. Right. Let's, before we go on to question 10 then, which I'll let you know is a Game of Thrones question. Let's see how the scores are doing. Who's scoring well tonight? With one question left to go. Graham Young is on 8 out of 9. Fantastic, Graham. Vito, 6 out of 9. Good score, Vito. Already a pass mark. Mo's 7 out of 9. Mo's, well done. Mo's, Per, both on 7 out of 9. Multi-Haggis Muncher Matthews on 8. The Alchemist Sebi on 8. Steve 8. Lots of 8s. This is a nice, gentle quiz, I think, for this crowd tonight. Scott 8. Jeremy Sims 7. Mark Slinger 8. 7 and 8's all over the board. Jason Coates on 7. Whiskey Dram 7. Really good scores. Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at the last question. See how Rob gets on with this Game of Thrones one. Which house was matched to Talisker in the Game of Thrones releases? Was it A, Greyjoy, B, Baratheon, or C, the Night's Watch? Now, I know the Night's Watch isn't strictly speaking a house, right? But what was matched to Talisker? Was it Greyjoy, Baratheon, or the Night's Watch? Rob, do you know that one? Just a yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good man. Let's see if our audience They seem to be jumping straight in and saying A is the popular one. Stevie is saying, I missed one question. The prehistory of whiskey and the six. Lol. Steve. Too funny. Okay, everybody seems to be thinking, with very few exceptions, seems to think that it's House Greyjoy. Rob?
That's correct, I think.
Greyjoy. So if you answered A for Greyjoy, give yourself a point. And obviously, it's going to be interesting for you to watch this quiz back when I've been flicking backwards and forwards on screens there, because you wouldn't have seen any of that flicking backwards and forwards because you're just looking at a straight video call, right?
Right.
But that's awesome. So let's see who got the best score tonight. There's got to be lots. I didn't see any 9 out of 9, so I don't think we're going to have a 10 out of 10. But there's lots of 8s and 9s tonight. A fairly gentle quiz.
It's all those whiskey and the six questions that threw them off, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And I think I said at the start of the stream that I enjoy these kind of Patreon things. And it's not that I take them any less seriously. It's just it's nice for me to kind of relax with the people that have chosen to support, the people
Absolutely.
that are kind of around, the people that I've connected with. And so many of them I've met. And even the ones that I haven't met. There's some in here that I don't even know what they look like Mose, Jason Coates, Per. I've got a reasonable idea what Per looks like, I think, because I've seen a YouTube video or two of him. But there's so many people I don't know what they look like, but you kind of feel like you get to know them.
Absolutely.
You get to know their style of commenting and things like that as well. And I like this environment just to kind of have a bit less structure. I don't really plan anything out, but there I've managed to fill 2 hours tonight talking about pretty much nothing much. Anyway, I think, have we taken care of all the housekeeping that we had to do? We've done the giveaway.
Yeah, perhaps either you can send me the gentleman's email, or you could send him mine, and then we can sort it out.
No problem. Simon, you can get in touch with me directly, and I'll put you and Rob directly in touch with each other to arrange shipping. And yeah, that's a very cool thing to have been able to do tonight. I don't know. I was going to talk about a wee bit more about what I'm doing in May for when the Scottish Test Dummies are coming over to Scotland. They're coming over to Ireland first, Rob, right? And then they're coming to Scotland straight after that.
Yes, yeah, they have that opportunity with the distillery, I believe, in Ireland.
With Waterford, that's right. And Waterford have, because they said, look, could we extend our stay and spend some time in Scotland? And Waterford looked like, yeah, do what you want to do, that's fine. So we've been able to benefit out of that really cool thing. And Ireland is just a hop, really, for them to come over here. Too good an opportunity to miss. So on that Saturday, World Whisky Day, May 18th, there's a gathering in Glasgow. We're hosting a tasting together at Good Spirits Company, and everybody's going to go off and get something to eat, and then gather from 6:30, 7-ish onwards into until the pub closes, no doubt, at the Bon Accord in Glasgow, and we'll just have a gathering there. The tasting in the afternoon is sold out. It was a ticketed event, but of course the gathering is free. It's open to everybody. And I have managed to arrange a deal with the Bon Accord that they're letting me bring up to 4 bottles of whiskey that's been donated by the community. So I've got bottles donated by Food Quig. That might end up in the tasting, though. I've got bottle donated by Multi Haggis Muncher. Matthew's in tonight, from Dwayne Large. From Ralphie. Ralphie's even donated a bottle. And these bottles will either end up in the tasting, but regardless, even if they do, there'll be 4 bottles on free share at the Bon Accord. Now, depending on how many people turn up, we'll have to be a little bit parsimonious and be careful with how much we drink and make sure somebody gets a taste of everything. I hope we can manage that. But yeah, that's going to be on free share in Glasgow. And for those of you that can't make it, for those of you who are a wee bit upset about this gathering and maybe the timing's not worked out for you, or maybe the distance is just a bit too far, I find, and I think you're seeing it too, Rob, that there's more and more of these real world things happening because the community is building, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're hoping to have something in Ontario soon, since there's a few of us now. There's Vito, there's Jeremy, there's myself. So hopefully in the next little while we can organize something and have all you guys come out this way.
It would be absolutely amazing to do that. Fantastic. Yeah. And I hope, if there's any chance, I know that it's difficult for you. It sounds like the term time in October is going to be acute for you, but if there is an opportunity for you to get down to Texas, that would be awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's not Texas, it's going to be the next time the test dummies do their gathering. I definitely have to come meet you guys in person for sure. So
Yes,
it'll happen.
that's right. It has to happen, and it does. It means it's just amazing. I mean, the Texas thing last year that happened was fantastic. The opportunities I've had to meet up with people have always been super cool. This thing in Glasgow, I hope it goes very well. I've admitted to everyone that it's the first tasting I've hosted. Official, like public tasting. I've done things at home, obviously, but yeah, it's the first one I've done publicly, so I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. Listen, thanks to everybody who's joined in tonight. So many of you joined. At one point, we had over 60 patrons in tonight, and that's just wonderful support. I love every one of you, and thank you so much for your continued support. Keep in touch through the comments. If anybody hasn't subscribed to my friend Rob here, please. I'm sure that you all have, but go along and say hello to Rob and leave a comment. I always say this, Rob, but I believe that you're one of the kindest, considerate, classy guys in whiskey, and it's a pleasure to call you a friend. It's a pleasure to know you.
I feel the same about you, my friend. I really appreciate those kind of words too, because they do mean a lot. At the end of the day, this is all about friendships, because, I mean, none of us are making a fortune off of this, if anything at all. It goes towards our hobbies, and we get to share that with people who become friends, which is incredible.
Well, that's right. And even now, I mean, I've said this year, I've got so much patron support now that I'm going to cover the cost of the whiskey that I'm buying for the channel, and I'm going to cover the cost of the trips and things. Whereas last year I was able to invest a wee bit in hardware as well. I've done the same this year. I've just bought a little cool handheld gimbal and things, because I'm going to hopefully try and make more kind of run and gun type content going out into the whiskey community, into distilleries and things like that. And that's all possible because of this patronship that we have, the patrons that step up, and it's amazing to me that happens. But before I was a creator, I was a patron. I did support channels, right? And I did that because I found that I was watching more content on YouTube that I enjoyed than I was watching my paid services downstairs, you know, the Netflix and Spotify music I wasn't spending any time on, but I was paying them a hefty subscription every month. So it's fantastic. And, you know, take the money out of it, take the money away. The community, the support, not just of kind of people enjoying whiskey together, but creators like us. You've hit the nail on the head when you said it's about friendship. There's no competition whatsoever.
No, there really isn't. I don't think, as much as other YouTubers have huge engagement and all these other things, a lot of these people will forever remain strangers to them. Whereas we have smaller communities, but we get to know a lot of these people, which is incredible. It's such an incredible experience.
It is. And even in times when we wonder why we're doing this and what's the point in things, a comment comes in from somebody and you're just like, okay, now I know why I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Somebody's just discovered Clynelish 14, or somebody's had a really nice experience with something. It's an absolute pleasure. So thanks to everyone for joining in tonight. I will continue to try and do these regular patron-only streams throughout the year. Sorry I wasn't able to bring you one in April, but I'll target June, and I'll target getting at least one more and maybe two more in before the summer break. And Rob, you start. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for the wonderful generosity. Thanks for the collaboration. Stay on the call. And say goodbye to everyone. And thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Roy. And thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to do this giveaway. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I forgot to tell everybody about this Deanston 15 Organic that I opened and poured tonight. But I poured a rather generous pour for myself. And I've been enjoying it very, very much, even at a neck pour. Thanks to everyone. And I'll see you. The next vPub will be, well, this is a 5-week month. So it looks like I'm probably going to be trying to bring 3 vPubs to you throughout this month. So I'll see you next week. And until then, everybody, thank you so much. Sláinte mhath.